Okay, this is going to be flight number 4 on the Dancing Wings hobby. I think it's a E31 J3 FireBird Cub. Man, this thing has got a ton of power for its size. Okay, so after flight 3, I increased the expo on my ailerons just a couple more ticks, just to smooth it out a little bit at mid-stick. And 50% launch throttle felt really good last time, so that's what I'm going to go with. Launching. Doesn't that maneuver? Oh yeah, I think it was just a couple more ticks on the expo, but it definitely feels better at mid-stick. Check that out. Now, I don't have a lot of wind out here right now, so I throttled up too much there. Like I said, it's got a ton of power. Look at that. That's going into the wind right now. And I'd say right now it's probably 3 or 4. I'm going downwind. Coming upwind. Has really good slow flight capability if I could stay out of the throttle. That's going downwind. Good rudder authority. Isn't that cool little plane? I can't believe this thing weighs less than 100 grams all up weight. That is fantastic. This is definitely a close proximity plane. And like I said, it would make an absolute excellent park flyer because it's small, it's extremely lightweight. How they managed to keep this under 100 grams all up weight, I'll never know, because the battery that I have in it is twice the size of the recommended battery. I don't know where they came up with their recommended battery. Their recommended battery is a 2S 150 milliamp hour LiPo. Well, the smallest 2S LiPo I have are these old 2S 300 milliamp hour LiPos. And as you can see, it carries it just fine, and cruising around like I'm cruising around right now, even on these old LiPos, which only have 4.1 volts per cell by the time I get out here, I'd be able to get 8 to 9 minutes of flight time. My guess is if you had a new LiPo in it, you'd probably be able to get 10 minutes of flight time out of it just cruising around. But, you know me, I don't like just cruising around, because it has so much power. Look at that spin around. And it's just a standard 6-channel receiver. There's no gyro in it. But you could always, they sell different versions of the kit. You can buy just the kit, put all of your own electronics in it. Now what I have is the bind and fly kit. So it comes with everything except for the battery. And they did an excellent job on the electronics for this plane, for the bind and fly kit. I mean, I am really impressed with the fact that with the power system that they put on here, how much power it has. I mean, that is awesome, because yeah, I like cruising around part of the time, but then I like, doing aerobatics part of the time too, right? That is absolutely awesome. Check that out. It's got a good roll rate on it. Now, I actually had to tone down my ailerons a little bit. I came out here, I right off the bat, I put them at 80% dual rate, and I thought, almost every factory plane that I've had, I have really been lacking on roll authority. But so I kicked it up to 100%, and that ended up being a mistake because this one has very good roll authority. So I think I've got my dual rate right now set at 80% on the ailerons. That's not a bad roll rate. Ooh, I must have stalled it there. That is not a bad roll rate for a little plane. Oh, I'm having a problem. I'm having a problem here. Oh, I don't know what was going on there. It was almost like I had a aileron servo that was activating on its own. I better check that battery. I wonder if my voltage was getting too low or something. I don't know. Ugh. No harm, no foul, though. Everything is in good shape. Let's see. Yeah, that was kind of weird. I'm going to check the voltage in this LiPo, make sure that I didn't run it down, because these LiPos are really, really old. No? Almost 3.8 volts per cell. So it wasn't the LiPo. I wonder if I was having a communications error. I don't know. May need to reposition my antenna or something. It looked like I had a servo that was activating on the aileron when I wasn't inputting it in the stick. Alright, well, I'm going to put another LiPo in it. Now, so far I've just flown it with these old 350s, but I do have some old 400s too. So I think I'm going to put an old 400 milliamp hour pack in it. It'll be just slightly heavier, but man, it carries this 300 milliamp hour LiPo like nothing. So see you in a minute. Okay, this is going to be flight number 5. Flight number 5. Okay, so I like the way it's handling. I like the way everything feels. I don't know what was going on over there a minute ago. I don't know, maybe I stalled it? I'm not sure. Everything seems to be functioning fine. Okay, 50% throttle on launch. Takes right off. Nice, straight and level. I thought maybe, you know, those being really old LiPos, I thought maybe one of them just gave up the ghost, but no, I still had over 3.7 volts per cell. So that's not what was going on, but I did get over there by the truck. So I just wonder if I'm flying it on the other side of the truck, because it's, you know, it's a tiny little receiver and a tiny little antenna. I just wonder if I had signals bouncing off of the truck to the plane. I will try not to do that again. Because that was a handful. I just went ahead and set it down because I didn't know what was going on. But I think that may have been what was going on. I've never had that happen before with other planes, but it's always a good idea not to, you know, fly around or behind a big metal object like that. What was I thinking? I don't know. But no, this is really handling well. Whee! Oh, and I have a 300 milliamp hour LiPo in it. This is a newer one. I thought it was a 400 milliamp hour LiPo, but it's actually a 3. So I've got at least one more LiPo pack that I can use in this plane, but I think it could handle a 350 to 400 milliamp hour LiPo just fine. With this wingspan, I don't think it would have any problem carrying it at all. Look at that. That is so darn maneuverable. Big, huge loops. Man, I am really liking this plane. Look at that. Now, I've got very little wind at the moment, which is, why it looks so much smoother. But look at that. This is a, sub 100 gram plane all up weight. Look at that. I mean, that is pretty smooth, guys. For a plane this size and this weight. Not a bad roll rate for a bush plane. Not a bad roll rate at all. Sweet. Isn't that awesome? I love planes with this much power. That's pretty darn cool. Putting a little rudder, pull back on the throttle a little bit, rudder turn, rudder turn. That is pretty cool. Dancing Wings Hobby did a really good job with this kit plane. Especially for the weight. I'm just astounded. I'm just astounded at the lightweight of this plane. Not a bad roll rate, is it, for a bush plane? That's pretty awesome. You'll have fun flying this in a park. This is a very maneuverable little bush plane that you can fly in a very small area. It's like a lot of bush planes. It doesn't like to fly real fast. And my Fun Cub is that way. If you try to fly it fast, it becomes a little unstable. And this one is the same way. It likes flying mid-stick. Or a little bit lower. It doesn't like flying fast, so I've got to remember when I'm making these turns and stuff, I apply a little bit of throttle, but then, get out of the throttle when it starts picking up speed. Whee! Watch that truck. Look at that. That is so darn maneuverable. Okay, I think my timer already went off, right? I'm having too much fun with it. Okay, so let's make sure we don't have any traffic. We've had some traffic coming through this morning. All right, and I can't really feel much wind right now, so I guess it doesn't matter which direction I come in from. Oh, I stalled it right there at the end. Scuff up my wingtip. Okay, so this is a lot of fun, guys. This little plane. I think I might push my CG back a little bit more. When I was coming in for a landing there, I think it looked just a little bit nose heavy, and I had been pushing my battery a little further forward, pushing the CG forward a little bit, just to make it easier to penetrate the wind. But right now I've got my CG at 28 millimeters back from the leading edge of the wing. I think I might try that at 30 millimeters back from the leading edge of the wing and see if that's a little bit better balance on it. But anyway, I'm having a lot of fun with this. This was just my 5th flight on this plane now, and I like my setup on it. I think it's handling really, really well. I like the way the controls feel on it. I think I'm going to just test it with the CG pushed a little further back and see how the balance feels there, because when you're coming in for a landing, it really should just glide down softly. You know, these bush planes, it shouldn't drop the nose when you're coming in at you know, pulling back on the throttle. So it kind of, it seems to me like it's just slightly nose heavy at 28 millimeters. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the air.